Welcome back to another episode of Illuminating Information, the podcast where we shine a light on how organizations can turn complexity into clarity and data into decisions. In today's enterprise, information is everywhere: dashboards, reports, collaboration tools, and data platforms. Yet, for many employees, getting a clear answer still feels harder than it should. Instead of insights, they're left navigating fragmented systems, outdated reports, and disconnected conversations. Today, we're exploring the idea of the insight workplace, a new way of engaging with enterprise data that feels less like searching through systems and more like having an informed conversation with a colleague. At the center of this approach is AI-driven enterprise intelligence that delivers hyper-relevant, context-aware insights exactly when they're needed. To help unpack what this means in practice, I'm joined by Matt Plicinski, a Mindbreeze consultant who helps organizations rethink digital workplaces, knowledge discovery, and AI adoption. Together, we'll talk about why traditional approaches fall short, how concepts like insight touchpoints and insight journeys change daily work, and what this shift means for better, faster decision-making. With that, let's jump into the conversation. Hi, Matt. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, Kiki. Very happy to be here.
Could you give us an overview of what you do here at Mindbreeze and what your title is?
Yeah, so my name is Matthew. I'm a technical consultant with Mindbreeze in the United States. And, I basically just help our customers to unlock the full potential of their data by using and customizing the Mindbreeze system for their specific needs and data.
Awesome. Thank you. Are you ready to jump into the questions?
Yes, very excited.
From your consulting work, what are the biggest friction points employees face a day when trying to get insights from enterprise data?
I would say the biggest friction point is fragmentation. Data lives across dozens of systems, SharePoint, CRMs, ticketing tools, email, and many more. Employees don't struggle with a lack of data, they struggle with context. Traditional enterprise search just returns documents, not answers. Employees still have to read, interpret, and reconcile massive amounts of data that we have in our modern world.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that the Insight Workplace, which is what I'm going to ask you about next, definitely addresses these issues. So the Insight Workplace is described as a central starting point for engaging with enterprise data through AI-driven search and intelligent agents. How does this change the way employees interact with information day to day?
I would say it flips the workflow from searching for information to having a conversation with enterprise knowledge. Employees no longer start by digging through the system, but can instead start with a simple question. These AI agents don't just retrieve information. They select the right sources, choose the right format, whether that's a list, table, chart, or more, and they provide context and summaries automatically.
Yeah, one key idea is that interacting with data should feel more conversational, more like asking a colleague than querying a system. And I think that this is highlighted in the Insight Workplace. Why do you think human-like interaction is so important for enterprise intelligence?
Human-like interaction is so important because it's how people already work. They ask questions to their colleagues, not a database. The Insight Workplace allows you to recreate this experience with a vast knowledge base. It removes barriers like having to know where the data lives, lowers your cognitive load, and it can make conversations iterative. You can ask follow-up questions, refine the question, and the system adapts just like a human expert would.
Yeah, all of that, except you don't have to be embarrassed by asking a question you may have asked 1,000 times.
Exactly.
For listeners who are new to the concept, how would you define an insight touchpoint, and why is it more than just a saved search or stored answer?
An insight touchpoint is like a living and reactive record of information. The system not only picks the best touchpoint to represent your data in the best way for your specific questions, but it also updates the latest information and creates a comprehensive summary view of that data. Rather than just returning a list of documents, you get a specific view correlated and tuned for the specific question you're asking or the data you're investigating.
Right. Can you walk us through a real world example of an insight touchpoint in action? What question was asked, how the insight was captured, and how it continued to deliver value over time?
Sure. A project manager, for example, could ask, what's the risk status of our top 5 customer projects? Mindbreeze can pull data from project plans, tickets, status reports, emails, and create a detailed summary. The interaction is saved as a touch point, which can be revisited and expanded on. The project manager could revisit the touch point before weekly status meetings and get the latest information with a history of context.
Right. So it just builds upon itself and learns each time that the query is used.
Yes, exactly. And it always gets the latest information from your systems as well.
So there's no manual updating. It would update all on its own.
Exactly.
Awesome. From a business perspective, why is capturing and reusing these touch points so powerful, other than what we've already discussed a little bit?
It eliminates repeated work. Individuals stop asking the same questions over and over again, or if they do have to ask them again, they're less embarrassed to do so since they don't have to ask a human expert. It reduces dependency on individuals. Knowledge doesn't leave when someone goes on vacation or leaves the company. And it also creates decision transparency. Leaders can see what questions were asked and why decisions were made based on what data was returned.
Building on that, related touch points can be grouped into insight journeys, creating an evolving real-time view of a topic or client. How does this concept transform recurring work like client meetings or operational reviews? This kind of expands upon the example you already gave and kind of what we were already talking about, but just to get a little bit more in depth.
Sure. Insight journeys turn recurring work into a sort of evolving narrative. Instead of starting from scratch every week, you open the journey and it retrieves the most up-to-date information for you. For client meetings, you have historical questions, the latest metrics, and relevant changes. Journeys shift from heavy preparation to understanding the latest data through conversational language.
Mm-hmm. And the Insight Workplace positions AI not just as an assistant, but as an agent delivering context-aware insights. What's the practical difference and why does it matter for employees?
An AI can react with context in mind. This means understanding the user's role in the company, the business context, what information matters most. This reduces the amount of noise, produces fewer irrelevant results, and gives the user faster times to insights. For an employee, it's like having a knowledgeable colleague right at your fingertips, not a tool that needs to be managed.
Yeah, and if you had to summarize it for leaders, what's the biggest mindset shift required to move from managing information to enabling an insight workplace?
I would say the shift is from controlling and managing all your data to enabling insight flow. Leaders need to stop asking where the information is stored and start asking how can employees easily turn that data into decisions. The Insight Workplace is not just another IT project. It's a whole new model for knowledge within the organization. And organizations that adapt to this new mindset move faster, learn faster, and adapt better.
Yeah, and you see this in real time since you're working with our customers and seeing what they're doing with the Insight Workplace. And I think that that's an important thing to note as well, that it's up and coming and it's new, but the people who embrace it now are going to be better off than the ones who are waiting and using co-pilots that aren't necessarily built specifically for their organization internally.
I agree. I think our customers that are adapting to this new system and creating a specific curated system for them are going to be miles ahead of their competitors who are not as excited about some of these new ways of working.
Well, thank you so much for coming on today and joining us and talking to us about the Insight Workplace and your experience with it on the other end, because it's interesting to hear from someone who's actually building it rather than utilizing it and the other way around. But yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very happy to come on and share.
Be sure to subscribe to Illuminating Information on your favorite podcast platform. If you have a question, a topic you'd like us to cover, or know someone who would make a great guest, reach out to us on our website and let us know. Stay innovative, stay informed, and as always, keep illuminating information.